Lowering standards and eliminating some training requirements for ICE agents has translated into some violent incidents, some of which have impacted American citizens, along with, of course, undocumented immigrants. So in video captured in Chicago on October 10th, ICE agents are seen violently arresting a literal local reporter for WGN TV Chicago. Her name is Debbie Brockman. Let's take a look at what that was like.
Sir, what's your name? What's your name?
Debbie Brockman, I work for WGN. Let them know.
I got you. Yep. Debbie Browning? Brockman, WGN.
You're proud of yourself.
Do you guys want to share your names too, or I'm just gonna cover your face?
Couldn't cover your face a couple years ago. The real thing.
Okay, Mr. Condemnation.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This is ridiculous. Honestly.
Yeah. Good job.
Seriously, get the down. Come here.
Alexa, let's go.
No, this is some bullshit.
And as you saw in the end of that video, the ICE agents then crashed into the back of that SUV and just drove away. And there have been more and more of these accidents. Now, later, the Department of Homeland Security said that the reporter was arrested because she allegedly threw objects at an unmarked Border Patrol vehicle. Now, I thought that was suspicious from the jump because, look, I just got to keep it honest. Like, you look at that woman, she's a literal local news reporter. She doesn't look like the type of person who's like an activist looking to get into trouble or throw objects at law enforcement or ICE officials. And later, it appears that my hunch was confirmed because she was later released without any charges. According to her lawyers, Brockman was held in federal custody for about 7 hours before being released. And that it doesn't end there, right? Like there are more and more of these stories coming out. And part of the reason why is because there are no brakes on this car. When you cut training, when you essentially tell ICE agents they can, use whatever force they want to use, they're going to carry that out. And ICE also arrested an Army veteran who happens to be an American citizen. His name is George Retes, and he was arrested at the Camarillo Cannabis Farm in California. This happened over the summer. I believe it was July. July 10th is when this ICE raid happened. Now, look, that story is nuanced because that ICE raid found that the marijuana farm was employing undocumented underage workers. And so I'm not in favor of child labor, whether it's undocumented or not. So, when it comes to legitimate ICE operations, great. But the problem is what they are doing is not legal. It's not legitimate. They're arresting and detaining American citizens in some cases. Here you have an American veteran who was arrested and detained for 3 days without any charges or access to an attorney or contact with his family. Retes has said that he complied with officers' directions at the scene and that he identified himself as a United States citizen and a veteran while attempting to reach his security guard job. He wrote that agents did not verify his identification before detaining him and that he missed family events while in custody. In a post on his newsletter, and an op-ed in the San Francisco Chronicle, he said ICE officers used tear gas, broke his car window, and applied physical force, including kneeling on him while he complied with their instructions. And there's even more. A teen in Texas was reported missing by his family after ICE detained him. He's a 15-year-old by the name of Emmanuel Gonzalez Garcia. He has autism. His family thought he had been kidnapped. His autism is so severe that he has the cognitive function of a 4 or 5-year-old. Now, he was detained after he walked away or wandered off as his mom was selling fruit. She has a fruit stand. She's selling fruit. He walks away. At that point, ICE officials detained him. They did not notify his family, which is why they thought something was wrong, something was wrong, but that he had been kidnapped or something terrible had happened. The US Department of Immigration and Customs Enforcement explained that Houston police had found a minor that they had picked up who claimed to be homeless and from another country. Well, he's not homeless. And, later ICE said that it helped Houston police place Gonzalez Garcia with the US Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement. But the agency deals with refugees and unaccompanied minors. He's not an unaccompanied minor. And again, the fact that his mother didn't know where he was. The fact that the Department of Homeland Security never reached out to his family members to inform them of where he was. And by the way, October 3rd is when he was detained. The mother has not seen him since, has only been able to have one 30-minute phone call with him. There's so many other cases, Cenk. It's crazy.
So look, we know why this is happening. Stephen Miller. So he's obsessed with beating Barack Obama's record for deportations. So he's giving a quota to ICE. So they're rounding people up, whether they're Americans, not Americans, danger, not a danger. They're not double checking anything. They're smashing people's cars, arresting reporters, and it's deeply stupid. So look, I hate it because it attacks these innocent people that did not have it coming, right? We all believe the same thing. The 75% of the country, right? So and Rogan talks about it all the time. We asked for you to arrest the criminal undocumented immigrants. Apparently, Rogan didn't understand that there aren't that many of them, right? There's a good number. You should arrest them all and you should kick them out, right? But it's not a giant number. Most of the deportations that Obama did were at the border, where he just turned them back. So, and back then they weren't sanctuary cities. It gets complicated, right? But it was much easier for Obama to do it. If you're gonna try to break that record, you're gonna have to grab a whole bunch of people who are innocent. You're gonna have to crush due process. You're gonna have to go and get people who are actually undocumented, but have been living here for 20 years, and then you're gonna leave their kids behind. They're American citizens. On and on it goes. And all this stuff makes 75% of the country deeply uncomfortable. So Trump had it. When he kicked out the undocumented criminals, his polling on immigration was through the roof. Now that he's doing this, he's lost 75% of the country. So he's got his base that loves it. They can't get enough of it. And I'm not talking about all of his voters at all. Rogan voted for him. A lot of the independent podcasters voted for him. A lot of independents voted. They don't want this. So his extreme base, I don't know if it's 25% of the country or 25% of his base. Yeah, they love it. Stephen Miller loves it. And apparently Trump loves it, but it's driving down his immigration numbers. So if you're somebody like me who doesn't like seeing that happen to innocent people, you don't like it. If you're a Republican or you're a Trump fan, it's destroying his numbers. So do you like it? Okay, and I know some of you will say, yeah, absolutely. They got no business here. We should have rounded them up a long time ago, kick out 10, 12 million people. I don't care if they're kids or grandmothers. But the majority of the country does not agree. This looks super wrong and immoral.
I mean, if you're okay with a federal government agency having unlimited power to terrorize whoever the hell they want, including American citizens, without even asking a single question about their identity, about their immigration status, about whether or not they're citizens, okay. But don't cry if your community is impacted by this, or people that you personally know are being impacted by this. Because since when did members of the political party who are super weary, for good reason, about concentrated power in government, all of a sudden in favor of essentially giving a government agency unlimited power to do as they want? And by the way, Cenk, you're right that you do have this influence from Stephen Miller. There's no question about that. But remember, there was also this influx of taxpayer money that went to Border Patrol and to ICE as a result of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. And so now you have this government agency that's on a hiring spree. And in order to hire as many ICE agents as possible and as quickly as possible, they have essentially done away with some of the standards and some of the training that ICE agents previously had to get. So let me just give you the numbers in regard to the Big Beautiful Bill. Let's go to graphic 8 here. Congress this summer passed legislation giving ICE $76.5 billion in new money to help speed up the pace of deportations. That's nearly 10 times the agency's current annual budget. Nearly 30 billion is for new staff. 30 billion is no joke. That's a lot of money. And so what the agency is doing in an attempt to sweeten the deal for anyone thinking about applying to be an ICE agent is they're giving them up to $50,000 in hiring bonuses. But on top of that, the Trump administration has scaled back training and other standards for ICE officers or ICE recruits. And we are seeing the negative impact of that. So for instance, in August, ICE removed age restrictions for new applicants as part of their push to hire more agents. Originally, the agency said that applicants must be at least 21 years old and generally not yet 37 for the criminal investigator position and not yet 40 to become a deportation officer. Now there are no age caps, and anyone who's at least 18 years old as opposed to 21 years old can apply to be an ICE agent. Also, Caleb Vitello, who runs training for ICE, says it has cut Spanish language requirements to reduce training by 5 weeks. I feel like the Spanish language requirements and the training that comes along with that might be useful if you're deporting people, some of whom might not speak English, but I don't know. That's just me. What do you think, Cenk?
Yeah. So look, $50,000 is a huge signing bonus. So it's going to bring in a lot of people, whether they're qualified or not. And then are they going to use DEI to hire people? You're not qualified. Who cares? Just come on in. As long as you're willing to grab up random Latinos in the streets. That's kind of a reverse DEI, I guess. So look, other reasons people are upset about this is it comes with an attack on free speech. For example, that reporter that was arrested. So attacks on the press over and over again. Obviously, people are discomforted by the mask, no badges, unmarked vehicles, and that's not America. And it makes no sense for them to wear masks like that. It leads to more thuggery. That's why the Klan wore masks. It's a bad idea. And there's no health emergency right now. They're obviously doing it for one sole purpose, which is to hide their identity. Why do they have to hide their identity? Because they're doing things that are wrong. Not because they're worried that the WGN reporter and the autistic kid are gonna somehow find out who they are, dox them, and come to their homes. No, that's just a made up excuse to be able to do worse things because you have anonymity. And lastly, look, I heard this story from in my personal life, but we've also covered very similar stories on the show that were in the news. But so talking to someone who's Latino, I asked him, what do you think? I've been asking a bunch of people these days, do you think that Trump's gonna lose the Latino vote? Because look, you gotta talk to people in the community. Polling is one thing, online comments is another thing, but talking to people in real life also gives you, yes, it's anecdotal evidence, but oftentimes very helpful. Like for example, if you talk to normal people about Biden back in 23 and 24, 100% of them would have told you too old, right? So anyways, Trump guy gets pulled over by ICE. He's an American citizen and he's like, I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump. The ICE guy doesn't care. He's got a quota to make. So he rounds him up and throws him in the, into detention. And then presumably he got out at some point because he's an American citizen. But when you do this, my guess, we'll see if it starts to show up in the polling more and more, is that you're gonna lose a giant chunk of the Latino vote that you had won after so many decades of trying to get more Latinos to vote for Republicans. You're gonna lose them in the span of 2 years, all going back, because then now they think, well, the Democrats are right. Trump and the Republicans, they said we're gonna target us, and they did target us. And they didn't care that we were Americans. They didn't even care if we voted for Trump. That is a terrible political strategy. Point.
I agree. I totally agree. Because there's profiling happening. So if you look vaguely Latino or vaguely, like someone who's not a waspy white American, yeah. Like I just feel like these American citizens keep getting detained, including that veteran, right? Obviously he's Latino, but he's an American citizen. He got profiled anyway.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.